George can though, because it's his host. I don't know.
I will message that person.
We can send a message to them.
I think I can do it. Okay, I did. Yes. Okay. So I hope you're able to hear me. Let me take the final go ahead.
Gorgeous.
Guys, please remember to mute yourselves once you log in. We are going to start in a minute once we start recording. Okay, we are recording, I think. Okay, yes, we record. So let me welcome you. This is our first webinar. It's me, Penny. Okay, let me text. Hello, Yasha from UCL. Oh my, it's so nice to see you.
Hi, Penny. Nice to see you too.
Okay, let's start. This is our first webinar as a technology enhanced learning special interest group within BALEAP. It's a pleasure to host you all. It's going to be me, Penny, I'm the C coordinator, and Laurel Knowles. We work together at the University of Nottingham in Ningbo, China. Yasha, mute yourself. Remember to mute yourself. Mute yourself, okay? So she is the co-convener for the engineering strand here at Nottingham. At the second semester of the preliminary year, we have English for specific academic purposes. So she's going to talk about her experience, how she adapted a face-to-face course into an online one within basically 2 weeks. And I'm going to talk about my perspective as a tutor, how I adapted my lessons. I teach the mathematics strand. Before Lola starts her presentation, this is our website, this is the link. We call for presenters. From now on, every Wednesday, we're going to hold webinars every week. So we need more people to present every Wednesday. We have the schedule for the first month or so, but we need more people. The only requirement that we have is that we need something related to technology and EAP. And of course, again, we call for blog articles. We have a blog section in our website. Please send me an email with your articles, and we're going to choose the best ones to be featured to our website, okay? So I will stop sharing my screen. Lola, can you can start.
Yeah, I will stick mine on. Okay, so yeah, basically I'm just going to talk you through changing a course that was face-to-face, completely face-to-face, with a little bit of online self-study, online course. So the main things I'm going to talk about are the organization and the logistics, because that was the thing that we had to decide on first. Then a little bit about the technology that we've used all together as a group, but also some specific technology that I used for my particular course. And a little bit at the end about course design and impact on things like course design and quality control that I think I can see coming through from this experience. Okay, so first of all, I've got a little map here for you all to give you some background of the situation. So teaching on this particular course, there were 12 tutors. And as you can see from my map, in 11 different countries, 8 time zones, and then there's 400 plus students mostly in China. There was a few who were outside for various reasons, but the majority of those were in China, and therefore GMT plus 8 hours. So, well, the reason I put that map there is you can probably get a good visual of how this was quite a difficult task. I had to make sure that I considered the fact that for some people, especially like the guy who was in New Zealand, or still is actually, it was his Monday morning when it was my Sunday evening. And so if I want to set things up to work properly so that the people teaching on the course can maximize their efficiency and their time management, had to be basically organized. So that's something that I'm going to talk about first. So on this course, because there's a lot of tutors, of course, the experience of people who taught on the course before and people who were familiar with the institution as well varied. There's some tutors who were brand new, their first semester, like the poor things, being thrown into the situation, and some who were very experienced on teaching the course, and in fact had taught it for longer than I had. Also, everybody was new to the nature of the delivery. So for example, we had to organize screencasting lessons and also using Moodle forums for communication as a class. So this was new. Most people had used forums to some degree, but again, there was variety in how confident people were with this. And I think screencasting was new to most of us. Now, as you saw in the previous slide, there are a lot of people involved in this course, tutors and students. So one of the logistical problems, I guess, was the need for consistency across the course. So I had to kind of think of a way to make sure that everybody was doing more or less the same thing each week for each lesson, especially on these weekly to do. Anyway, as I was saying, rather boringly, apparently, we needed consistency across the course because we need to make sure that all the students are being basically given the same time, attention, tasks, etc. So we had weekly forums for students that looked pretty much like this. As you can see here, I'd set up different tasks for them to do each week. Now, to make sure that everybody was able to communicate with each other on the tutor side, we also had a tutor forum for queries as well. So as you can see here, it's a really good example because loads of different tutors started discussions on here with different topics. And actually, it kind of took the pressure off me a little bit because it meant that other people checking the forum who perhaps knew the answer to other tutors' queries could answer before I'd checked. Especially with the time zone situation, this was pretty useful as well. Okay, so how did the tutors make sure that they all had the same tasks on the forum? Well, it's, I don't know, sometimes I feel like maybe I'm a little bit of a control freak, but generally feedback from the tutors has been quite positive, that they more or less knew quite far in advance what they had to tell their students to do and what they needed to check on the forum. So I'd wanted them to basically be set up similar to this. They did a little video of a review from the previous week. We had submission points and forum discussions down here. In order to make sure that everybody knew what they were doing, we had also this sort of document each week that I would put on a platform for the tutors. We have SharePoint and we also have OneDrive as well. So this would have a welcome blurb that they could post to their room, key tasks outlined, and then anything else, the tasks with the detail here, and then a picture if they wanted, which I stopped doing once I got to China because the internet was so slow. It took ages for me to do. There's also tutor instructions in red as well, so they could get any help with anything they needed. So then we had to deal with the technology. So again, the experience of the virtual learning environment that we have, which is Moodle, and general confidence in using the technology was quite varied between tutors. So to avoid patronizing those who were perfectly competent, but to give support to tutors who felt that they need it, I did some how-to screencasts, which basically means all I did was record my screen and narrate it a little bit, showing exactly how I set up my own forums. And then they could basically download this video, do it themselves. And it meant they could stop, go back, look at it and stuff like that. So that seemed to help. I only did them for the first 3 weeks, I think. And then by that time, everybody was pretty confident setting them up each week. I think the thing that I knew before this, but I've also really realized, is always be friends with tech people. So I was actually able to call in a few favors, if you like, of the e-learning and the online materials development teams that we have at UNNC. And this meant that I could ask to become an editing teacher on other tutors' Moodle pages. So if they were really stuck and they were really struggling, I could dip in and help them to set things up, or check on their forums if somebody was ill for a week or something like that as cover. So that saved quite a few headaches, I think. And as I mentioned, the screencasting as well, we screencast the lessons. So it's kind of like interactive, as though we're in the classroom, but then we tell the students to pause the video. And some of the tutors, as well as myself, created the screencasts. This meant that the students got different styles, different accents, and didn't just have to listen to me all the time. Maybe that guy before was one of the students who got fed up of listening to me screencast. Also, I think what this situation has really given me, and I imagine other people as well, is it's been a real opportunity for upskilling. So, for example, I have learned to create a grid like this, a navigation grid, a lovely little welcome banner and things like this, which I didn't know how to do before. This was because I learned coding. Now, usually we see something like that and everybody freaks out because we think it's going to be really, really complicated. But actually, it isn't. As long as you have got somebody to sit down, teach you, show you, kind of similar to how I did with the tutors teaching on my course, just someone to go through it with you. It actually, once you get the hang of it, it's not that difficult. So if you have the opportunity to use a virtual learning environment in your institution and there are people willing to help you to learn it, it's an invaluable skill. And when you see it like this, it looks really intimidating, but actually code is a language. And as we're all language teachers, once you start looking at it, you see patterns and you recognize when it doesn't work and things like that. So I think one of the benefits that's come out of running a course is learning these sorts of skills so that you can, basically you don't have to rely on always calling in other people to help you. I think as someone who coordinates a course, that's quite useful. The other opportunity for upskilling, if you like, was being put in a situation where I felt that it was time to experiment with new technologies, rather than just keep doing the same thing all the time. Oh, I've got a question here. How long did it take you to learn coding for Moodle? It took me going and sitting down with the team leader for the online materials development. I'll just go back actually to the previous slide since we're talking about that. It took basically an hour sitting down with him, but of course not after an hour I could do it. I then went away and I tried and I failed and I went back, or I emailed him screenshots of what I'd done and he could point out the errors. And after, this was actually last year, I learned a little bit of this. So this year when I then had to try and get a bit more involved in the tech side, again, it just took a few tries, a few very frustrating hours of looking at it, being like, where is the error? What is the problem? But then once you see it, it becomes easier each time you do it. Another question here, become an editing teacher. I mean, we have both the course site and a personal Moodle page. So the materials are all on the course site, but the forums that I showed you earlier are on each tutor's Moodle page, so that you can control your own classes. So make it a bit more like it would be in the classroom. Okay, I'll pop back and look at the questions again in a second. The next thing I was going to talk to you about is experimenting with new technologies. I've introduced this task this week because I don't want people to get bored. I guess the students have been doing the same things over and over again. And so I added something called a text adventure quest. This actually didn't require any coding at all. It requires patience because again, you mess things up or things don't look right and you have to go back, but you don't have to learn to code. So in theory, it's easier. It kind of looks like this. They had an accident analysis lesson with a typo in, but never mind. And it was about air crash investigation. And they used the panel over here to navigate through and collect information. For example, the flight path of the plane that they were investigating. And this fitted in with the theme of like health and safety and accident analysis for this week. And it just meant it was something a bit different, rather than always having them look, just reading things online and making notes. They had to make decisions where they were going to go and what they were going to research. So I have no feedback on that yet because that's this week, but I'll let Penny know and she can pass it on if anyone's interested. I'll just check the questions again. Yes, oh, thank you for answering, Gaz, the question, Screencast-O-Matic's what we used. You can use it for 15 minutes for free, and then also you can get an account, which we have a subscription free work, so it can go a bit longer. Gemma, this is called Text Adventure. I'm going to type it for you, textadventure.co.uk, and it's free to use and it's really, really easy. But yeah, like I say, it's it takes patience, but yeah. We are not covering speaking skills in this course. We usually do, but we're not. We're still doing discussion skills in forums, but Penny will talk to you about speaking skills actually, because she'll be discussing another course. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk to you about was course design, and then I'll pop back and have a look at the questions coming up in the chat box. So I think something that's good about having to completely change certain aspects of a course is that it gives you the opportunity for improvements. Actually, when I took over this course last year, I made loads of changes because it hadn't been changed in a long time. Some of the some of the lessons and the materials were a little bit outdated, so we made some big changes, incorporated task-based learning, which I can't use this year, but never mind. But it gives you the opportunity to try new things and improve lessons that perhaps hadn't been as interesting. So for example, we have a student evaluation of module and a tutor evaluation of module at the end of each semester. And some of the feedback last year was there was too much listening skills practice and that students needed more writing, such as paraphrasing. So it gave me an opportunity to take out some of the things that both students and tutors had identified. Whereas, to be honest, with heavy workloads and loads of marking, sometimes you would like to change more things, but you just don't have the time. Whereas, even though this has been more work and taken more time, it was a necessity rather than something that you keep thinking, oh, I should change that lesson. Student feedback from my class has been quite positive about having more instructions on the PPTs that accompany the lessons. In the past, sometimes we just showed answers because then we'd rely on talking through the lesson. But actually, my students have said that they prefer the more detailed instructions on the PPTs because it allows them to go back and revise and remember what we were doing in the lesson and follow the instructions as well. And at the end of this semester, we will have these student evaluation and tutor evaluation of module as well. So this can help the quality control and we'll know what worked and what didn't, because obviously this has been quite an impromptu situation. Right, I'll look back and see if there are any more questions in the chat box. 2 seconds. Ooh, Microsoft Teams is working well. Yeah, I've heard a few people say Teams is good, but yeah, we've just not used it on this course because we're not focusing on speaking skills. We've had to change the assessment of the course because they did have a group discussion, but now it's just reading and writing assessed. Okay, so basically, I guess my conclusion would be that there are certain key skills that we need to deal with the sudden conversion to online delivery. Organization, as I mentioned at the beginning, and making sure that everybody knows what they need to do well in advance. Patience, both me with the technology and the tutors with the technology and me with the tutors and the tutors with me, we all just had to be patient with each other. And also the willingness to help and to be helped. I was really willing to be helped and to learn from the online materials guys. Lots of the tutors have been really willing to also learn these things for themselves and to try new things like screencasting, and willingness to help each other on the forums. So it's been, I think, quite a positive team building experience. But I'll see at the end when they do the tutor evaluation of the module, I suppose. And I mentioned some key opportunities to take advantage of, such as tech upskilling. Don't be scared. I was terrified like this time last year if someone had showed me code, but actually it's not scary and it's frustrating at times. But if you can learn to do things like that, it just broadens your skill set. And I think one thing that we've been hearing a lot about is now that things have had to go online, there's a lot to talk about more things going online. And you can take advantage of this opportunity to improve your course. I'll have one last look at the chat box and then I'll hand you back over to Penny. Teams does work in China. It does, apparently. With Moodle, someone's asking if there's a simple way to link interactive activities. Yes, you can create, there's one function when you add an activity to a Moodle page, you can create a link. So from there, you just add a link and then the students can click on it and it will take them directly to the web page. Any technical issues with Moodle and Teams in China? Moodle, yes, because it's just slow. When I was back in the UK for the first half of this semester and it was working fine, But now I'm back here in China, sometimes I have to have Moodle open on 3 different devices and do one thing on one, upload it or send a response, go to the other device, just otherwise I'm wasting a lot of time looking at the screen. I have no idea if Moodle can be linked to Microsoft Teams there, I'm afraid, but maybe someone else can answer that question. Okay, thanks very much, everybody. I'm going to hand you over to Penny. Thanks for your patience with our lovely friend as well, who dropped in.
Thank you, Lola. I'm really sorry for that. So you know, the Zoom account that we have this webinar is University of Nottingham account. So we are going to take this back to our IT team in our university and find out about this intruder. Okay, so I will talk about a lot of things. I think I'm going to clear up a few of the questions that I saw in the chat box. So I will talk about the Nottingham case, the tutor's perspective. So I received notification for the online teaching mid-February. And in my team, the mathematics team, our main responsibility was to record some lessons via Screencast-O-Matic. I say Screencast, okay, to save some time. So as you can see, you need to download the software and then you need to click on the start recorder. What we do, we record our screen, and what I do personally, I switch between the PowerPoint. So I use the PowerPoint and I speak over the PowerPoint, and then let me open the chat box as well to be able to see your questions. And then I switch between the PDF, I show them the books. They don't have the actual books, but they have them on a PDF. So I switch between the PowerPoint and the book. I find this very, very useful. So you need a few days to adjust before you record. I have a Mac. I had a few technical difficulties at the beginning, but then I learned how to handle the videos and the recording. It has a 15-minute limit. So basically for one lesson, I record 3 videos. Sometimes it's a bit time consuming, but it's okay. We don't have any other choice. You either download the videos in your laptop or you upload them in the website. Personally, just to be on the safe side, I download them in my laptop and then I upload them to Dropbox and then I send them to the co-convener. So my teaching tips for screencast: prepare your script and your lesson plan before you record. This is what I do. I have like a small lesson plan in front of me, not too wordy, just the material I have to cover, and then a few things to say. And then what I found really, really useful with screencast, you can click on rec, start speaking, start teaching, and then you can stop. And then you start again. And my way, for example, when in the book we mention a pair work or a group work, for example, discuss with your classmate, what I tell my students is like, now you can pause the video for 5 minutes, think about the question on your own, discuss this with your classmates via WeChat, because our students have formed WeChat groups. And I think their motivation, their dedication this period of time is amazing. I think our Chinese students right now are more motivated than they are when they are in the campus doing face-to-face courses. So try not to have extra tabs in your browser or any other, material outside of the lesson, because as you switch back and forth, they may see something, and believe me, I've made that mistake, and then they're sending emails asking weird questions. So also Macs have the ability to record their own screen. So this Screencast-O-Matic, there is as a feature in a Mac laptop. So if you don't have the money, if you don't have the resources, if you want to create something like that and you have a Mac, you can do it. So now I'm going to talk about speaking. A lot of people are asking. Agilikia, I just saw your question. Okay, I will repeat Mac first. With Mac, you have, when it has a feature that you can record your screen, everything that is shown on your screen and your voice. So Mac has this feature. If you push Shift Command and 5, Shift Command 5, then it records, yes, sorry, most PCs, yes, sorry. I didn't know that. I haven't used anything outside Mac for years. Okay, sorry for that. Also, Giliki, we cannot know that. Like at this point, with this online teaching going on, you need to trust them. There is no other choice. So now let's talk about Flipgrid. Flipgrid is what we use at Nottingham to record speaking, to assess speaking, to teach speaking even. So it's provided by Microsoft. Student and educator login. Students record their videos and upload them. Every Monday we post on forum discussions and they have the prompt of the week. They watch a lecture and then they need to reply some questions in their videos. Actually, we also assess presentation skills via Flipgrid. So this week, they had to do their mini presentation on animal communication, using two sources, using all the criteria we would use in a normal presentation inside the class. So I really love Flipgrid. You can give feedback in the comment section, you can give grades, you can create your rubric, and if you want, you can even respond with a video. You create a grid for each class, and there is also a mobile app. For example, I record videos and I upload them through my iPhone. There, you can use iPhone or an Android, and it's free. Let me show you a picture, okay? This is Flipgrid. I have two classes for oral communication skills, OCSC 30, OCSP 31. Here you can see you can create topics for each week. As you can see, we have created first week, introduce yourself. I posted my video introducing myself. This way, because you know what's missing from an online course is that you don't really know your students and they don't really know you, okay? So through posting videos, you create this intimacy. Lecture response 1, mini presentation 1. As you can see, we have reached week 5 now. So this is something that we have tested for 5 weeks. And it's going really well. Student engagement is really, really good. I didn't want to expose my students, so I just posted the screen from my video. I upload every week, and every tutor is supposed to do that. We upload a video at the end of the week summarizing what we have done, and because I've watched all the videos, there are some consistent mistakes, so I give some kind of global feedback. So as you can see, you post your video, it shows how many views. As you can see, my students for the last couple of days, they haven't watched my video. I have to notify them through an email. Feedback, you can click on that and upload your video feedback. Presentation skills, you have the grading rubric. So here is the number for presentation skills like delivery, the task, and pronunciation skills. Then you add your comments, okay? And then you can email the feedback directly to the students without doing anything else. Let me see the chat box. Okay, most of them, 90% of them, they feel comfortable. Yes, at the beginning it's difficult for them, but Flipgrid is something that we already use, and they have used it during semester 1. So they are accustomed to that. So we send them emails. We're trying to engage them through forum discussions, but mostly if we see that a student does not engage, we keep in touch. This is assessed, they're going to fail, they don't want to fail, so they engage. So we have very low numbers of students who don't contribute. Yes, and you know what's really, really interesting? This is something I didn't tell them to do, but they're doing it. They reply to each other with videos in English. And that's amazing, I think. They engage with that, like by posting videos to each other. And that's really, really nice. Now I want to add something to what Lola said. This is my personal Moodle page. And I want to show you what I have done for reading and writing. This is mostly for reading and writing classes. So because my students didn't have the chance to ever meet me in person, so they can see my picture, they can see a very short bio, like what I do in my free time, or where I have taught, where I'm coming from, in which universities I have taught. Guys, as you can see, of course, Coventry University features as the first one, okay? So they get to know me, and also you can see an introductory video. So I recorded with my phone a 2-minute video because they just want to see you, who you are, who is this person, okay? And then I will show you what else I have created in my Moodle page. As you can see, I have forums, forums for each week. I have adapted specific activities from the book. For example, all the discussion tasks from the reading and writing course, I have adapted them to forum discussions. Okay, I know they cannot speak, but at least they write in English, they express their opinions in English. And then this is how, sorry, I want to show you something else. This is the way they submit their assignments. I couldn't show you more because after this it shows sensitive information for my students. So I post my assignments with the instructions on my Moodle page, because you know, when you have your course in the Moodle page and they can see 100 links, they get lost, I get lost. So they know they come to my personal Moodle page and they submit everything. They have any questions, they go to my personal Moodle page and they can see the instructions of the assignment. About control over how, okay. It's inside the university, like if something happens with their information, they give it to us. If you're asking about Flipgrid, we have a university account, okay? They have a university account, all this is private. So any other questions about Flipgrid? Let me check. Yes, okay. Do you, yes, they can use Flipgrid on their phones if they can ask that. Guys, Flipgrid is amazing. Let me see if I forgot to show you something here. Also, you can reply. You can add a heart if you like the video. It's amazing how they engage every week. As you can see here, we are talking about 144 hours of engagement only in the first 5 weeks. They really like it, as you can see from their, some of them, they do their makeup, they do their hair, they put on music, they're trying to make their videos interesting. Yes, I have a student, like, she thinks that she's giving like a TV show, or she's presenting a TV show every time she's presenting on Flipgrid. No, they are not supposed. Okay, during the first week, If you see on my personal Moodle page, I'll show you, timed process writing, they were supposed to sit down at their home and write something for an hour. So as you can see, they submit it as an image file. So we had to grade and give feedback on their writing based on the image they uploaded. And then everything else is on PDF or Word, as the following assignments will be connected to Turnitin. So they cannot plagiarize, basically. We monitor that with Turnitin. Yes, exactly. They need to post their pictures. Of course, you send them an email beforehand saying, okay, make sure your image is clear, otherwise you won't get any feedback. Our students at Nottingham Uni, for example, yes, they don't get a grade book, but every time they can go to Flipgrid and they can see their grade. And they have an email with their feedback and their grades for every assignment. Yes, 144 hours of actual engagement of students recording, maybe deleting, maybe recording again. I gave them the same tip I gave to myself and to my colleagues. When you record and you want to pause for a minute, pause, take a deep breath, think about what you're going to say next, and then start recording again. Of course, we will post this recording in our website. I will try to edit it and avoid this intruder, honestly. The IT of the University of Nottingham will deal with that. Also, I did something else for my students during the first couple of weeks. You can realize when they have written their script and they're not really presenting, but they're reading. You can tell that, okay? So the first couple of, during the first couple of assignments, I gave to some of them a really low mark for delivery. And I mentioned on my feedback, please don't read the script. This is not a reading lesson. This is a presentation you're supposed to present. And they stopped doing it. And then, for example, I even give feedback for eye contact. I'm like, you're supposed to look at the camera as if you're presenting to someone, okay? So really, honestly, the feedback I give is almost the same feedback I would use in a face-to-face course. Flipgrid works perfectly fine in China without a VPN. Screencast-O-Matic as well, Zoom as well. We have university accounts for all of these websites and they work just fine, thankfully. I even conduct my personal tutorials via Zoom. Again, I would like to take you back to our presentation. And before we go, you can visit our website. Celia Adoniu, our social media coordinator, will share that. Can you share that? Or I can, oops, we don't want that. Let me share. Let me share the website with you. Also, as I told you, we are looking for presenters. Every Wednesday, we are going to have presenters. This is the call for our presenters. Let me share that with you as well. Okay, where are you, Zoom? Oops, stop share, maybe I have to do that. Okay, so every week we are going to conduct a webinar. Please apply to our form, send me an email. This is my email. Okay. Okay, Gus just sent us something. Okay. Okay. All right, guys. Which link, Tatiana, doesn't seem to work? Please notify us with the link, the website one. Okay, we are going to check that. Please send us also your blog articles. Every week we post new articles. This week, our secretary of the SIG, Craig Colson, has written something really, really interesting about this ghostwriting companies, okay? And every week, okay. Okay, thank you guys for that. So please send us your proposal to present. Sorry for that today. This is our first webinar, and we are going to try to create more events for you every Wednesday, more interesting events. Gareth Jones is going to present next week, as he has told me. Don't take it back. Okay, so next week we are expecting you for another interesting webinar. Thank you very much. Please send us your comments about the content. We tried to give you our perspective, how we do things here in Nottingham. It's amazing. It's amazing how we adapted within 2 weeks. Everyone at the University of Nottingham has done a tremendous, you know, effort to support everyone. Okay. So as far as Microsoft Teams, my experience till now, we mostly use it among tutors to share ideas, share problems, solutions when it comes to the material that we use. So thank you very much. If you have any idea, anything you would like to see presenting, for example, if you really want a webinar about Teams, we can do it. We can provide that. So thank you very much. We had almost 100 people like here. If we didn't have the intruder, maybe we had more. Thank you very much for everything, and see you next week with another interesting topic. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, Penny. Good hosting.
Thanks, Penny.
Bye, guys. Bye, Yasha. I miss London and UCL. I miss you every day of my life. Bye.
We miss you too, Penny. Bye. Good to see you. Thank you.
Everyone.
Bye. I will email everything through the BALEAP GISC email. I will email everything. I will share the PowerPoints as well.
And we will upload them
Thanks.
as well.
Yes.
Videos.
Thank you so much, Penny and Lola. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Thank you
you.
everyone.